The more he kills, the more he transcends.
Okay.
Halloween Kills is a 2021 slasher film that stands as the sequel to 2018's Halloween and the 12th movie in the Halloween franchise, with the final installment to this new trilogy coming next year with Halloween Ends. It is directed by David Gordon Green and stars Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role as Laurie Strode, Judy Greer, Andy Matichak, and Anthony Michael Hall. There's a lot of hate going around for this movie, and I want to talk about that, all meanwhile maintaining this as a spoiler-free review. So don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything super important. So let's start off by saying, is this a good Halloween movie in terms of what it means to the franchise? No. However, is this a good, fun, brutal, entertaining movie starring Michael Myers? Absolutely. So let's talk about it now in terms of what it does to the Halloween franchise, because there's a few huge issues there. So this is a sequel to the 2018 Halloween, which was a direct sequel to the original 1978 Halloween movie. So it's completely ignoring all of the other 7 movies and also not counting the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, which aren't exactly canon to the franchise. So as complicated as this is already, this movie goes out of its way to complicate things even further. And I think what perfectly encompasses this confusion is that the movie struggles to decide whether Michael Myers is a man or if he is this supernatural essence of evil, as Laurie says.
Michael Myers is the essence of evil.
Everything falls apart when you think about this idea, and the movie knows it too because it constantly flip-flops on this. For example, the 2018 Halloween movie ignored all of the events from the movies after the original. So they made it clear that Michael was arrested in 1978 and sent to the sanitarium, where he spent 40 years there. And you can tell that he's been there for 40 years. There's a few shots where you briefly see his face, and although the shots try to block out his face a bit, you can see that he's clearly aged. So anyway, while transferring to another facility, Michael crashes the bus, escapes, and returns to Haddonfield, Illinois to kill some more. In that time, Laurie Strode, the survivor of the 1978 movie, has been mentally and physically preparing for Michael's return in those 40 years that he was in the sanitarium. She's convinced that he will somehow return to kill her, and she does kind of seem to be right. He does return to kill her, although he kills a bunch of other people before getting to Laurie, but whatever. But it's also like, well, why? Why does he want to kill Laurie after all these years? Her answer to this in Halloween Kills is that he is the essence of evil, as if implying that he's almost like this supernatural force that will finish what it started. She even says in the trailer, the more he kills, the more he transcends.
The more he kills, the more he transcends.
Which sounds ominous as fuck. But then in the previous movie, in the 2018 Halloween movie, she says he's a human being and we need to understand that.
And he's a human being we need to understand.
Okay. In this movie, Anthony Michael Hall's character of Tommy Doyle, who is one of the kids that Laurie babysat in the original movie, believes Laurie in all of this. He goes out of his way and literally recruits the entire town of Haddonfield to get together and unite to defeat Michael Myers. Tommy throughout the movie says that evil dies tonight. It's like a chant that he does.
Evil dies tonight!
And it's like, really? Evil dies tonight? So is Michael just a guy, or is he like evil incarnate? If he's just some dude, then why recruit the whole town to go kill him? And if he is the essence of evil, or like evil incarnate or whatever, well then why do they believe they could even kill him in the first place? That just doesn't make sense to me, and this is what takes a lot of the movie's impact away for me. I can't tell whether the movie is telling us if Michael Myers is just a man or if he is this supernatural thing. In this movie, Laurie is recovering in a hospital bed from her previous encounter with Michael. And so she spends most of the movie screaming at people that Michael's going to get her, and Tommy and her basically freak out the entire town, and now they're freaking out. Now, ignoring the fact that Michael Myers somehow managed to survive the house fire where he was left to die without any effects on his health if he's just a normal human being is already fucking nuts, but whatever. Ignoring that part for now, Laurie is freaking out in the hospital for the entire movie. And it's like, well, why? What kind of connection does Laurie even have with Michael? And I'm kind of right, because Michael goes out and kills a bunch of people and ends up going somewhere else other than the hospital. I won't spoil anything important, but Laurie is literally freaking out over something that doesn't even happen at all. Michael isn't interested in Laurie, and she kind of comes off as she's sort of simping after him. I won't spoil anything by mentioning this either, but this confusion that the movie has about whether or not Michael is a man or if he is the essence of evil gets even worse when in the movie Michael's mask is removed fully for one scene. And we've seen him without the mask in the previous film, but it's like, well, is he just a guy who wears a mask and goes around killing people? Or is he a supernatural thing like Laurie makes him out to be? If he is a supernatural thing, then why does he seem obsessed with wearing the mask and trying to get it back when it's removed from him? And if he's just a regular dude wearing a mask, then how does he survive all the shit he has gone through and even goes through this movie too? Like, what? Also, to change the topic a bit, if this movie ignores all of the events that happened after the original Halloween, then why are there kids who show up in the film wearing the kids' Halloween costumes from Halloween 3, Season of the Witch? I love Season of the Witch. I even have the action figures for the costumes. But they literally threw that in as an Easter egg and nothing else. As a fan, I like seeing that on screen. It made me happy, but it added nothing to the movie because the movie is ignoring the events that happened in the third movie anyway. So they kind of just cheapened the costumes by making them just some costumes that the kids wear. Anyway, I'm getting carried away by mentioning all of this, but you get the idea. In terms of its contribution to the Halloween franchise as a whole, Halloween Kills just confuses us more and acts more as a movie to set up the third movie in this trilogy. And that is my biggest problem with this movie, actually. This movie adds nothing to the trilogy. It literally exists only to tease the next one. Okay, so to change the point of view completely, I want to talk about this movie by itself and not how it connects to the Halloween franchise. I went into this movie just wanting to have a good time. That's it. The world has been hectic enough and life is hard enough as it is, so I just wanted to sit down and watch a movie with bloody, brutal kills, lots of violence, some cool shots, and Michael Myers, and I got exactly that. The kills in this movie are fucking brutal, which I loved. I'm a fan of gore and blood and all that shit, so I just had a great time watching Michael completely destroy these people. In my opinion, the kills and violence are not too over the top. It's not torture porn, if that's what you're wondering. But I think they're brutal enough to satisfy a horror fan for sure, and I think they're brutal enough to make people who don't really like gore squirm in their seats a little bit. Michael is a fucking beast, just going around killing everybody whichever way he can. That's what I wanted to see, basically, and I got that. Like I said, I liked a few shots in the film. I thought they were cool. I also really like how they shot the flashback scenes that take place in the events in the original Halloween movie. I like that they made it look sort of vintage. That was cool. I also really like the opening credits. The score was a bit disappointing though. The main theme, of course, is iconic, but I expected a bit more from the score, as John Carpenter himself is one of the composers for it. Also, I purposefully didn't mention the characters of Karen, played by Judy Greer, and her daughter Allison, played by Andy Matichak, because they're pretty much just there. They don't add much to the film, which is disappointing as they're one of the main characters in not only this movie, but this whole new trilogy. I couldn't care less about those characters, to be honest. Anyway, all in all, Halloween Kills is a very disappointing entry to the Halloween franchise. If you're an avid fan of the franchise and you're wondering where it's headed, I don't think you would enjoy it. I would give it a really low rating, but I didn't watch this movie for the franchise. I watched this movie just to have a good time and just for that. And for that, I think it's good. The kills are brutal as hell, and the film is really fast-paced. The hour and 40 minutes of runtime go by really quickly. So if you want to just watch Michael Myers do his thing and not worry about the franchise as a whole, or if the story and character motivations even make much sense, this is a good movie nonetheless. I would give Halloween Kills a 6.5 out of 10. But what do you think about the movie? Have you seen it? Did you watch it on Peacock? Or did you go to the movie theater? Leave it in the comments. And alright, yeah, that's the end of the video. Goodbye.